Opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
Treasure Coast's longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Hey, welcome to the Treasure Coast Forum, the longest running radio show in
the Treasure Coast. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. You're listening to Bob. Instead of being on the phone, he is live and in color right here in the studio, and we thank him for joining us. Our two students, Jamie Paulson and Amira Meehan, are up in Tallahassee right now, doing their youth and government routine up there, and maybe passing some new bills. Ironically, some of the youth and government bills that get passed that are good bills get adopted by the Florida House and Senate and get signed by the Florida governor. So they become Florida law, some of them, and which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if they're listening up there, but if you run out of money, ask the representatives there where the lobbyists are. They're probably outside right by the front door.
Yeah, at least they can probably get a John Smith sub or something.
Yeah, the lobbyists will take care of you. They'll line your pockets.
Okay. All right, so we're going to try to do what we can without the ladies in the studio. They may call in, so I'll try to pay attention to the phone. I'm notoriously bad about that, but I will do my level best to pay attention to the blinking green light.
Where does it blink? I'll watch it too.
Right here on the phone set. So
I can't see that.
You can't see it from here. So, all right. So, anyways, yesterday, former President Trump made a little bit of news, and we're going to play a little bit of sound from that. He went up to, it's pronounced Palestine, but it's spelled Palestine.
And it's East or something.
East
right?
Palestine, Ohio. And so we're going to play a little bit of sound from the president here.
Don't come back and give you the treatment that you need. We will be back. The Biden administration should ensure that every family has the option of moving and homes and everything else until this thing is straightened out. I do want to especially thank some of the incredible people that helped us, because we're bringing thousands of bottles of water, Trump water, actually, most of it. Some of it we had to go to a much lesser quality water. You want to get those Trump bottles, I think, more than anybody else. But we're bringing a lot of water, thousands of bottles, and we have it in trucks, and we brought some on my plane today. But to that end, I'm pleased to announce that we've helped coordinate the delivery of the water and bottled water, as well as the tractor trailers full of it. We have big tractor trailers full of water. I think you're going to have plenty of water for a long time, maybe.
All right. So it's just a little bit of sound from the former president. And there you go. And so he's, I think he's got good instincts.
Yeah, and he went to McDonald's, and I guess they had to call in staff.
Yeah. And he bought Happy Meals for everybody.
He bought, I think he bought the whole damn place, to tell you the truth. And, I don't know if Ronald McDonald was there. I think they share the same hairstylist, too. Same color, too.
Right.
But, so, and he got a great welcome there. And, but our head of the transportation was there, Pete Buttigieg, this morning. I guess he got in really early, probably to try to get in and out.
So yes, I have the same problem, but I'm 69. I'll be 70 in August. So he's our Secretary of Transportation, and in the middle of answering a question, he takes a pause. And he says something that is just priceless. He says, "I lost my train of thought."
Oh, wonderful.
So it's like, oh my God, you can't script a more bonehead thing to do.
That's
But-
Biden should say that every time he does lose his train of thought, which is every other third
Yeah, well,
sentence.
yeah.
And Biden, I guess, tripped up the stairs again on.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he had a
Yeah.
hard.
Don't want to see that happen because those are steep stairs going in and out of Air Force One.
I was actually, honestly, not even joking, expecting that they would get like one of those ones you get at certain airports with the elevator. On
Yeah,
it.
sure, like the Pope gets.
Because
Yeah.
every time the Air Force One goes out, there's
Yeah.
also an Air Force Two decoy.
Right,
Then you have C-15s with all the limos for the
Right.
Secret Service and everything.
right.
So you might need another C-15 to put that big staircase in there.
But
But hey, it's our money. It's not his problem, right?
that's right. So I'm wondering, talking about our money, Nancy Pelosi is no longer the majority leader in the House. When she was majority leader, she lobbied to get her own plane because she liked to go back to California on the weekends. And she thought it was, well, I'm third in line. And, she gave all these various reasons. And she just felt like she needed to have that privacy of her own plane.
Yeah, and then
Taxpayer funded, of course.
And then it wasn't big enough, if you remember.
Yes.
She wanted a bigger one for her entourage.
Right.
Yeah.
And interesting. So I wonder if that plane has been repurposed or retired, and who's driving that plane for Miss Daisy now?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Isn't that interesting? We haven't heard anything about that.
Do you think she'd still be allowed to keep it now she's no longer speaker?
I would think not. I would think she would lose the perk of having that.
Yeah.
I would think so.
And Biden said during his Soviet State of our Union that she was going to be go down in history as the best Speaker of the House ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was who said that? Gorbachev?
Yeah, really. Biden.
Oh, Biden.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Putin would say that because he gave a speech recently too.
I remember when Paul Ryan became Speaker of the House. And he took over from, I forget, another guy I didn't care for.
Yeah, the guy with the incredible tan.
Yeah, yeah.
He was from Ohio too, by the way.
That was a drinking tan. Somebody spilled a beans on him and said that's Scotch or so. But Paul Ryan at first said he didn't even want it. And then he said he took it. And the day he got in, I heard on a radio that if he worked one day, and then said, because he said he didn't want it in the first place, and then said after that, I don't want to do it.
Right.
A week later, 100% of the increase in his pension, everything is just unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a bad gig.
No, good. I can't remember that little guy's name that was always red, like you said.
Yeah.
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 See, we're getting old like he was.
I guess CRS can't remember stuff. But yeah. So there was oh my goodness. So this is and I guess there was another earthquake recently in
heard about that.
Was it in Turkey and Pakistan, right?
No, Turkey and the evil one.
Well, Turkey for
Syria.
sure. Syria. Yeah.
Syria.
Yeah.
No,
so 6.5 on the Richter scale. So that's pretty substantial.
Oh, yeah. I've gone through like something like that when I lived in California.
And they said that many and most of the buildings that have been damaged all have to come down.
Yeah. And they're all decrepit.
It's over 100,000.
You get the same thing in Haiti and stuff.
Sure.
There's no building enforcement in these kind of countries.
No code enforcement.
Yeah. I mean,
what code? Well, listen, West Virginia, there's no code enforcement.
No, but they do.
Oh my God!
But they build their shacks to live in. They're one story. But But and we were talking right away. We're going to give all kinds of aid.
Right.
I don't want to give nothing to Syria.
Right.
They're an enemy.
Well. Yeah, I mean it's so it's the government, it's not the people, and so it's hard to make that distinction. You know, the government we don't like, the people should be fine. You know.
Yeah, but a lot of times when you do that,
yeah,
and the Clintons did that with their foundation,
right?
In Haiti, I think it too was
Right.
Where
well, no,
they,
wait a minute.
They were having certain contractors
Yes.
fill the bill.
The Clinton Foundation, let's be fair, was really just the convenient slush fund.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why when they told Obama,
yeah.
Well, first they had to tell Hillary, you're getting out of this race against Obama. She refused. So then they leaked a little bit of baggage every week.
Right.
Told her ABC, NBC, CBS, NBC, and all them guys. Little by little start leaking because Ayers and Soros, I guess, gathered her together and said, next time, honey, this time it's going to be Obama.
Right.
You're going to be his Secretary of State. And I'm sure they went to Obama and said, okay, here's your Secretary of State. Sorry.
Right.
And then she flew around the whole world collecting money for the Clinton Foundation.
She did.
DC is district of corruption, just like everyone says.
Wow. Oof.
What goes on there, and what's going to come out with Hunter Biden and all this? Maybe that's what Joe said yesterday, wasn't it? That he's thinking maybe I might not run.
Well, I don't know. I think there's I don't know if it's a rule or a written rule or an unwritten rule. If you have a sitting president, that you generally don't bring charges unless they're, of high crimes and misdemeanors. Super.
Well, these are.
Well,
from what I've heard of.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
he's
generally
the big guy.
speaking, yeah.
Even one of his own family that was in the group,
right,
that was getting this money, said he's the big guy.
Yeah, that's his brother.
Brother-in-law or brother?
Jim, his brother Jim.
Oh, okay.
James Biden.
Yeah.
And
the big man gets his cut.
Well, there was a conversation between Hunter and Uncle Jim, and another guy, Bobolinsky.
Yeah.
And Bobolinsky's the one who said, unequivocally that the big guy was understood to be Joe.
Yeah.
But
and that was money.
That again, it's just conversation, and we don't know until.
Well, it was on the laptop.
Right.
They just wanted to know who.
Right.
That means.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said unequivocally, that's Joe.
Yeah.
That's Joe.
Yeah.
And that was money from Ukraine.
Right.
And he's also had dealings with China.
And he's on, and I don't know if I could have the time to find it, but he is on record on there's a video floating around of him talking to the press when you saw that video, right? Where this is when he was vice president. He was there to bring money to Ukraine for their defense and humanitarian and different stuff like that.
But there was the stipulation about the prosecutor,
right? And there was a prosecutor that was gunning for Hunter Biden because of his work with Burisma. And because it looked like it was a little bit shady to this prosecutor in Ukraine. And he was also a judge, right?
I don't know if
I think he was a judge. I think he was a judge. And so Joe Biden said that if in order for us for you to receive these government funds, this guy has to get fired.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, son of a gun, or he used more colorful language, but son of a gun, he got fired.
6 hours later.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was bragging about that.
He thought that was pretty cool.
He was bragging about that too.
Right.
Yeah. I guess he figured that would just get buried somewhere in the University of Pennsylvania. Now, what's that? What's that all about?
That's the hair smelling aisle.
What's all the money from China doing going to the University of Pennsylvania?
Right. $30 million.
Yeah.
$30 million. And they have more. I think that was the initial startup for the wing.
Yeah.
And it was a gift from a I forget what the name of the agency, but they were directly affiliated with the CCP.
Oh yeah.
But it's a separate wing, and they had provided $30 million for this wing, and it was not really occupied.
No.
But people from different people did go through there.
Yeah.
Even though it was not.
Somebody said it might have been a janitor that came across there.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Right.
But somebody didn't like what they were reading.
Right.
So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, and it was just a lot of wacky things going around. I mean, did you ever keep a lot of sensitive material next to your Corvette in the garage?
No, most of my sensitive material is what I hid from my mother in magazine form. But talking about Raquel Welch, we were earlier. She passed away.
Yes, bless her.
Well, I had that black and white poster of her in that 1 million BC.
Yeah.
Fur bikini,
Mm-hmm.
and I put it on the back of my door in my bedroom.
Sure.
I was like 12.
Okay.
So I'm
As
thinking,
you do.
I'm thinking my mom's not going to see it because if she comes in, she opens the door to vacuum or whatnot.
Right.
Thinking, well, she's not going to probably vacuum behind that little part of that door.
Right.
I was wrong.
Wrong.
I was wrong.
Yeah. So what did she do? Say, Bobby, what is this?
She was kind of smirking about it. And I said, I just like the movie,
Yeah.
But Raquel was one of the big.
There was like no. I saw the movie recently because after she passed, well, I got to do a rewatch of the movie, and there's very little dialogue.
Yeah.
There's a lot of grunting.
You don't need much.
No dialogue.
But she was one of the big three
Yeah.
for the kids my age, like 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or 12 years old.
Right.
You had Elizabeth Montgomery, Bewitched,
Right.
who died young, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And you had I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden,
Right.
who looked amazing into almost. I think she's still around. I'm not sure.
Yes, she's still around as far as I can
But
tell. Yeah.
I think the last time I saw her when she was over 70 something,
Yeah.
she still looked amazing.
Stunning.
She
Mhm.
must be a real genie.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yep.
Too bad she couldn't pass it on to Major Nelson.
Yeah.
Right?
And then the guy from Dallas what was his name?
Yeah, Larry Hagman.
Hagman,
Yeah. Too funny. So the head of the Wagner mercenary group turned into a gruesome method to make his point. So there's a feud between that. I don't know if you know about this, but the Russian government is not giving the this Wagner group the munitions they need to press ahead because they're trying to take Bakhmut in Ukraine, that city, and they've been for months been trying to take one city, can't do it, and so they're circling and they're trying to attack from the north and try to attack from the south and then push from the east, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're getting a little closer, but I mean, the body count of the Russians is just stunning.
Now they have people our age forcing them to sign up because they need the troops.
Right, they need the bodies.
They said a lot of people fled Russia,
right?
To get away from having to join the army.
A lot, but they actually are closing their borders. They're making it impossible, especially when they do a call up for sign up. We need new recruits and stuff. Then they close the borders.
And I also heard tell of they keep troops behind the head troops in case they try to turn and come back.
Right.
Their job is to shoot them.
That goes back to World War II.
Yeah. I think it might go back to the British.
Well, yeah, I mean that's their old, and that's why they're referred to as cannon fodder.
Yeah,
those guys. So,
but if you think about it, though, I'm saying China must be drooling right now because how I feel about this. China is going to pull a Hitler on Iran and Russia after they're done using them against us and NATO, and they say right now 90% of the military assets of Russia are on or near Ukraine. So right now China could take out Russia in a heartbeat, but they're going to use those two against NATO and us and the rest of the world. And in the end, I'm telling you, I swear, Iran's going to be glassed. They're going to be melted with a nuke, and Russia's going to be gone too. I think they're just being used like Hitler used all the people and then turned his back on them. Yeah, I really do.
So right now, Russia and China are talking. They're in talks right now with the notion that China is supposed to supply them with materials that they're desperate for, right? War materials, munitions, and things of that sort. Most of their tanks, I think more than half of their tanks are.
They asked. Remember, a few months back, they asked for money or something, or materials, and they didn't get them.
No, they didn't. But so China's kind of thinking, well, maybe we will. But the downside of that is that China also is a big trading partner with many countries that would not look kindly on China offering that kind of support. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Tomorrow being the 1-year anniversary of the invasion.
They said that China, I heard just recently, that China and Ford are now dealing together. That kind of surprised me, because when, GM and Chrysler bowed to Obama.
Right.
And basically the unions took over GM.
Right.
And then they forced China, or Obama forced and his crew, the only people that the bondholders were supposed to be the first ones to get the paybacks. They got 10 cents on a dollar.
Right.
And so did the vendors that made a lot of their smaller parts in the factories around there. And then they just basically handed these over to the union.
Right.
And then there was a fire sale for GM. I don't know, probably Chrysler too. They made Chrysler join with Fiat, for God's sakes. Ever riding a Fiat? You're thinking it's going to rattle apart on you. So, and they made them do that, and Ford was the only one that didn't take the money.
Right.
And now I heard just yesterday, or maybe even today, that Ford is now in some collaboration with China too.
Yeah, well, because the problem with so many manufacturers are they look at just the raw numbers of the amount of millions of people, millions and millions and millions of people that live in China. They're all potential customers. And Ford International, they do a lot of business with so many other countries, and so here's the downside with that. China says you can do business with us, but we have to own a part of your company in order for that to happen.
Either they just steal the intellectual property.
No, but they flat out they have to have a buy-in.
Yeah.
For Volvo is a good example of that. Volvo is now owned by China.
Well, in that fire sale, China with Obama and GM, China bought 20% of GM in that fire sale.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That was many years ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's that mystical, magical time once again. And we will return after this brief message. So stick with us.
The moment I wake up, before I put on my makeup, I say a little prayer for you.
Two amazing talents. So Bob is sitting here without his headphones on, enjoying the studio speakers.
Yep.
Right?
Last time I took the headphones on, I thought it was like when you're on an airplane, but had to bring them back.
There's no joystick, though, with an airplane. So, just the microphone. But, so sadly, we've lost both Burt Bacharach and Dionne Warwick.
Yeah, within a week or so of each other.
Very, very close, and very sad, but amazing talents. And it was pretty cool that they got a chance to work together.
Oh, I always liked their voice, but more of my father's music back then. But now I'm getting older. I seem to take to some of that too. But the only time she kind of lost me was when I remember she was doing that psychic network hotline call in 1-800 and spend so many minutes, dollars a minute. That's when I thought, what's happening to her?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, obviously, people they see they get talked into doing things, lending their name to a business model, and they don't fully.
And they need money, a lot of them.
Yes. They don't fully investigate it, and then like you say, you get tagged with that kind of
crazy stuff,
negative press.
Yeah,
it happens. But a favorite president of mine, and I know of yours, you like to do his voice.
Well, there you go again. Nancy and I are over here we're spinning around in our graves like a hot dog at the 7-Eleven.
So this is a small snippet. Well, maybe if my computer will let me. It's thinking about it.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
Isn't that amazing? If you think about it, I think one of the big quotable lines he has so many.
Oh yeah,
so many. But for me, that was a major takeaway because it distills your thinking to a very, very narrow point to question just because if somebody says, in fact, I think it was Ronald Reagan that made this comment, if somebody says we're here from the government to help.
It was Reagan.
Yeah. It's not what you want to have.
My favorite one was
I'm from the government. I'm here to help is not good to hear.
My favorite was the one when we were talking about off the air a couple of times ago when he got shot.
They talked to the surgeon,
and he went in. He looked at all the doctors, and they went to the closest hospital.
Right.
And he said, "Well, I hope you're all Republicans." That's his sense of humor was amazing.
Yeah.
But he caught a lot of crap for spending a lot of money when he first got in office.
Mm-hmm.
He had to. He said, "Our military, our guns don't fire. They don't have enough ammunition. Nothing runs."
Right.
So he had to dump a bunch of money in there. And
that's because Carter, and we wish him a speedy journey, God's journey. As he's been admitted to hospice over the last couple of days. But that being said, Carter had hollowed out our military, and he deliberately took budgeted money away from the military.
Most Democrats do.
Yes, and to spend it on social programs. And so the main reason why the Soviet Union failed was they couldn't keep up with our level of spending to match us.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're having that problem now again, every time we don't have a Republican in office, they just don't, keep the military where it should be.
Right.
And with everything going on in the world today, that's what Bongino was talking about near the end of his show today. He says, we got a lot we should be doing right now, and we're not, because they're doing again. And the infrastructure they talked about, to give a lot of union jobs, building bridges where they collected enough taxes but stole them to repair it 900 times over. They said a lot of that money and that pork in that thing, it's somebody called it social infrastructure. There's more money going to, climate control and this and that and everything else. Infrastructure apparently is a big wide word now. It doesn't mean bridges and roads and
apparently, yeah.
It
could mean whatever you want it to mean.
Well, McCarthy, they were saying something about they were considering, and I hope they do, pushing through one bill about one subject. No more all this pork loaded
omnibus bills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I always talked about, we have so many bills. They say no bill ever goes away.
Right.
Well, none of these people, we have bills from politicians that use the pork to get a lot of money and stuff from people years ago and stay in power. A lot of those bills are obsolete now, but the checks apparently they say are still getting printed and going out to family members or whoever. They're not even supposed to be going out anymore. Somebody must be getting them and cashing them. I don't know.
Well, what about the GAO? Aren't they supposed? Isn't there the government accounting office there? Aren't they supposed to keep track of that?
I don't know where they are. Look at the Congressional Budget Committee.
Right.
We talked about them before.
Mm-hmm.
They're only working off the paperwork they get from the politicians.
Right.
They can't.
Or the CBO.
They're not really like good accountants at digging it out.
Right.
And so they don't really know what's going on. They need to change them. We need another branch there that just goes through all the old bills, throw them away because they say they can go to the moon and back a couple times. Nobody knows what they are, who we're paying, but that congressional budget deal. They only work off of what they give them. And the funny thing I always say is when Harry Reid said that we got to get a visitor center in the summer, at least for the summer, for these people that are coming to go and sit in and watch them work, because he said it stinks in here. These people are out there sweating in the summer. So they built the Capitol Visitor Center next door.
Okay.
Right next door. And it went like, I think 5 to 8 times over budget. Now this is right next door. It's connected to go into the Capitol.
Right.
Now, if they can't keep track of something right there, how about the stuff we're spending money on all over the country?
Right.
It's just way too much spending going on, and they're talking about 10 years now. Social Security could be insolvent.
Whoops.
Yeah.
That'll be a problem for me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to live past 80.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, whoops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I hope to start collecting, this year.
Well, what are we doing letting all these people across the border if we're broke?
Right.
Why is Washington, D.C. spending $1.39 for every dollar in taxes they collect?
That's not good.
And then why are they saying when they said, well, if we had a fair tax, they would collect more money in Washington?
You mean like a fair or a flat tax? Or?
The fair tax.
Mm.
They would have more money to spend.
Mm-hmm.
And one guy says, that's not the point. What is the point? The point is you want to remain in control of everything.
Right.
And it's just getting ridiculous.
Well, they have to, I don't think we have a money collection problem. We have a money spending problem.
Yeah, we're spending 39 cents over and above everything they take in. But we have no right at leaving our borders open.
Right.
And there's another thing I was looking at. What did she say here? We were talking about President Biden, and where does it go? Talk about something. I'll find it.
Okay. All right. Well, coincidentally, we're about ready for our next break. So let's toss it to Rocky and Bullwinkle, and we'll get our break in there. And,
hey, Rocky.
Yeah.
Watch me pull a rabbit out of my house. My hat, not my house.
Something like that. There it is.
And now,
hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
We are back. You're listening to Treasure Coast Forum. I'm Frank Mezzapel. You're listening to WSTU, Martin County's Heritage Station. And I'm joined here in the studio with Bob. And we thank you for being here. We thank you for listening. And we've got a few more minutes of stuff to chat about, things for you to think about. This is under the economy. It's called Let That Sink In. Housing market sees the biggest drop in value since 2008. Of course, that's the national housing market. Florida is unique. We're kind of a cutout from the rest of the national economy when it comes to housing. Over 1,200 people a day still move to the Sunshine State. So that creates a demand infrastructure and keeps the price of houses from, I think, falling to a great degree.
Yeah, we'll be at the end of the list.
We're generally the last to feel a recession and the first to come out of it.
Yeah.
Too. Florida, we're very blessed for that. See now, another one here. There is, this is an interesting one. Where is the love? A study finds more than 60% of young men are still single.
Yeah, I heard that this morning too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's not a good study.
Yeah, you can't even, these kids today, they're riding these electric bikes around. They can't even afford insurance in a car. I mean, how are they going to get married?
Yeah.
You know? It was starting to look like Saigon on Route 1.
Oh, God. Let's see now. Yeah. So anyways, there's just some wacky things going on in the world. Alec Baldwin enters a plea in the fatal Rust shooting ahead of his court appearance. He pleaded not guilty.
Yeah.
And
I saw him in the Hunt for Red October pointing a gun at somebody in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good movie, too. You've seen it, right?
No.
You never saw the Hunt for Red October?
Oh, Hunt for Red October. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Rust.
Yeah, it was Sean Connery.
Yes. Sean Connery. Yes.
Yeah, I told you I had a girlfriend that loved Sean Connery, and she was, a lot of the younger girls, believe it or not, old Sean was their favorite.
Oh, sure.
And whenever I saw her,
all the Bonds, you mean?
I'd see her call on the phone. I'd say, "Hello, Lisa. Do you like to be spanked, Lisa?" And she loved it every time. Yeah, he's gone now.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk to you about here, one of the comments from Biden. Unchecked aggression is a threat to all of us. All right, Mr. Biden. What about our border? We have a lot of unchecked aggression coming this way, and you're the one actually sending it this way. You know, I see he has more in common with Putin than he does with Ukraine, because their border is getting invaded, and ours is getting invaded by Biden and his ilk.
Interesting.
You know. So, but they're doing it for perpetual votes, which they probably will get,
percentage of them. But a lot of the in Florida, it showed that there's large Hispanic population in Miami and Dade County used to vote Democrat. Not this election.
Well, the problem is when you get talking about all the people in South America coming up, a lot of them have large families.
Right.
They don't want to vote socialist. They're fleeing socialism.
Correct.
But
they just want a chance.
But when you have all those kids to feed, you're going to vote for whoever puts food on the table for those babies.
Right.
That's what they're doing. They're coming to the last lifeboat on Earth with the potential of sinking us. And then where do any of us go?
Right.
I mean,
Canada.
They ain't gonna take us.
No.
They used to let in years ago. Remember, everybody.
Oh, my cousins.
And they caught on to that quick.
My cousins left Detroit, and of course, their dad was Canadian, so they left during the Vietnam War and moved to Canada. They could do that, and they were welcomed, and then they came back, and now they live in Maine.
Yeah, we're going to go over the barrels in the Niagara Falls to try to get into Canada one day. Because, no, this is crazy. We don't have the money for all these people.
Yeah.
And like I said, God bless them. I know why they're going to vote Democrat.
Yeah.
This is what we've talked about many times about the Great New Deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the Democrats caught behind, and I would love to get a hold of all those. They said the Democrats did the Great New Deal, which was welfare.
Right.
And they were caught saying this, we're going to own people of color or their votes for infinity. And in a large measure, it has turned into that. They keep them in these dilapidated cities. They give them enough money to get by, to get their votes.
Right.
And now look at the mayor of Baltimore. He's screaming because out of the 18 public schools in the downtown area, I don't think one student passed the minimum standard for like math or reading. How are these kids going to survive? They broke up the black family with the Great New Deal, right? Because if the husband was there was no check. So the husbands were asked to, go away. And it's a shame, We want us all to be the same. We want us all to have prosperity. These cities need to be leveled. There's really no need for them anymore. They're just a haven for really not good things.
Wow. Yeah. Yikes.
So get to work on that, Frank, would you?
All right. I'll put that on my to-do list. my ever-growing to-do list. Oh, goodness.
Can't do the honey-do list. I got to do something for Bob over here. Yeah.
Right. So this is an interesting little nugget that was just added. You remember the guy in Idaho that killed those 4 students?
Yeah.
Right. The suspect, they found a creepy collection of allegedly found on his phone of just creepy things. So, wow.
I would assume so.
Right.
Yeah.
But why would they? So here's the thing. He's just been arrested. He's I think in jail without any bond. He can't post
I
bond.
heard that. Yeah.
Right. But don't release anything to the public about what you've got.
Then they're going to say it'll taint the trial.
Yeah. I don't understand that. Why would they do that?
Yeah, and then just had the one in Michigan?
Yeah,
a shooting.
Oh yeah.
And UPS Steve, who he called me up and said something about they actually closed down.
There was a shooting here in Florida too.
Yeah, in Orlando.
Yeah.
But they actually he called me up and said he said you went to Ewing High in New Jersey, right? I said yeah. He said, well, the guy that killed the people in Michigan, for I don't know why they put that high school on shutdown. I don't know why. I guess they thought maybe he was going to go do something there too. But the Orlando. And the guy was grinning on TV. I saw that, and shot a girl, and then shot the news crew that came. The girl, I think, and the guy. I think one of them died, and the other one's okay. I don't know if it's the girl from the news crew or the guy. And then went down the street and I think shot somebody else. So it's craziness is going on. And Orlando's a rough spot too. I never realized years ago, I saw that there was a few times they were the #1 most dangerous city in Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. And they said, the reason why is because all the tourists are there,
right?
And a lot of people from overseas, and they're targeted,
right?
Yeah,
it makes sense, really.
Well, they said there was also gangs of some of the maids that were working in the hotels.
And yes, and so the thinking is the problem is when you're on vacation, your guard is down, you are in relaxed mode, you're in vacation mode, you're not in high sense awareness mode, right, and so that's a great opportunity to do bad things to good people. So,
Orlando, one of my sons lives there. Yeah, I couldn't live out there. They get no damn breeze in the summer. It's hot.
It's hot. It is hot, and it's like being a major city USA anywhere, downtown anywhere. Wow.
I wouldn't even live on the West Coast, which is really nice. I like Fort Myers.
Right.
and all that area.
Yeah.
But in the summer, the only time they get a breeze is there's a thunderstorm coming in off the Gulf. I mean, usually we get a nice little breeze here.
Right.
Not every day, but most days.
Right, we do. The sea breeze. My brother-in-law from Michigan, I always tease him because he says, "Oh, it's so hot in Florida." I said, "Yeah, but his name is Bill." I said, "Bill, we get the sea breeze." So he come over one day and he goes, and he's taking his shirt and trying to fan himself. And he goes, "Your sea breeze is not working for me, buddy."
Yeah, you got it.
But it gets a little toasty here.
Yeah.
But we do get the breeze in the morning and the evening. It's just
when we
wonderful.
get older, we get things done early. We go golfing early.
Yeah.
We do all that, go in the
done.
pool or whatever. You you can go in anytime.
Yeah.
And then at night, it seems to cool down for a little. Then it gets more humid throughout the night, a lot later in the night.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't live anywhere but on the east coast of Florida.
Now, you got a lot of pine pollen on your cars, so where you live?
No, I don't have a lot of pine trees. Just palm trees.
Palm trees.
Yeah.
Oh, got a lot of pine pollen around the Stewart area.
Yeah.
Woof.
Yeah.
Woo. It's, you get people complaining of they think they have the flu or sinus headaches. And I go, no. Pine pollen.
Oh, you see that yellow stuff.
Yeah.
On your windows, your car windows sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that at the condo I'm in.
Oof. Yeah, it's good. But I mean, it's you look at the parking lot, some days you'll see that sometimes in the swale of some driveways, you'll see the yellow powder.
I wish I had a carport. The paint on my Tacoma is just not handling it.
No.
I was talking to the president, and we just had an election. I told you.
Oh, yeah.
I call it Del Boca Vista North because we have a lot of the same arguments that Jerry Seinfeld's father had.
Right.
And when he was running for president, and Jerry bought him that Cadillac, and they said, "You must have robbed from the condo association." He said, "My son bought it." "I saw your son. He's not that funny. He couldn't afford that." Yeah, I call it Del Boca Vista North. That's where I live.
Too funny. That is too
funny. I gather most of the places are the same. How about yours? You have situations?
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, right now, we got our condo. We're trying to pass a new budget for this fiscal year, and hasn't been passed yet. So they sent, I got in the mail today, I've got the proposed budget and what the proposed increase is going to be. It still hasn't been certified yet, but the letter said, be prepared. If it's approved, this is what you will pay come March 1 for your association fee.
Is it bad?
Well, it's $488 now. It's going to be like $512. So yeah, it's a little bit of a bump, but
does that include your cable?
Yeah.
Everything, right?
Yeah. Cable and the pool and the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And landscaping and the water.
They say don't. Buddy told me don't ever run for board or the president. They talked me into it. He said.
Yeah.
Payless, thankless job.
Yes. Yes, exactly. It is.
Yeah.
It is, without a doubt. Yeah. In fact, they told me, they says, and I found out that our board, the officers in the board, there is no E&O insurance, officers, errors and omissions for officers. Yeah. So they're suable. No, thank you. I said, if you guys paid me, I'll take the job. I'll work there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no.
Well, the only people that get paid at our place are the accountant and the girl in the office. Who's,
Right.
They're both very nice.
Right. We have a maintenance guy. We have a lady in the office works.
Yeah, those are paid too.
But that's all. That's all you can do,
Yeah.
But no, I agree. I'm not going to.
Don't run.
No. Run, Forrest, run.
They want a recall.
Well, we thank you for listening to this rambling edition of the show. Our students didn't call. I'm not surprised because they're probably too busy passing bills there in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
So we'll look forward to their report when they return next week right here.
Maybe they went down to the beach, the Redneck Riviera there.
No, I don't think so. Bob, thanks for joining us. Thank you for listening.
Great to be with you.
And we'll see you next week right here at Treasure Coast Forum.